Hey everybody, I'm back. Whoa. I'm back in Cali. It's been quite an adventure. Sorry, I see a hair sticking up here. It's been quite an adventure this holiday season. Lots of traveling, lots of not being at home. I guess that's the definition of traveling. Lots of holiday cheer and exploring and adventuring, and so it's been a little crazy, and I finally settled back in. Just got back home to the West Coast yesterday, and so glad to be home. I had a great trip. We'll talk about this in a little bit, but as some of you guys know and saw on Sean's channel, I was on the East Coast this last week, and I got to meet up with him, got to hang out with him in person, which I haven't done in, I think we were calculating it was like at least 16 years we haven't seen each other in person. So kind of crazy. And it was a little bit impromptu that I was able to meet up with him. I told him, I didn't know until not too long ago, but I didn't know that I was going to make it to the East Coast. And then I wasn't sure if I was going to even be able to swing by Providence, Rhode Island, where he is stationed. And so it all kind of came together very quickly, but he was around, he was available. We saw each other on Friday, and I have to tell you, it totally filled up my soul just to hang out with him for a little bit in person, just to be able to hug him and like just be in the same room as him in his awesome studio that you guys see, boxed in a rectangle. You see one angle, but to walk into it and see the full room or cave or whatever, however you want to describe it, that was a treat. That was a treat. And I told Shant, and I even said this on his stream, that I think I said this, but I definitely told him, I was like, I knew that it was going to look the way that it did, even though I hadn't seen the other side of the camera. Like just knowing Shant, and as long as we've known each other, which has been for 30 plus years, I knew exactly what I was walking into when I walked into his room. So it was great. It was so great. But I just wanted to stream today just to start getting back into the rhythm of things, to like kind of lock in a couple of like, I don't know, just lock into shows and like starting to stream again, like My Wednesday Comics. I mean, I called this My Wednesday Comics Boston Edition, but it's actually not going to be any of that. It's not going to be on Wednesday. It will be about, we'll talk a little bit about the trip and specifically the comic stuff that I saw when I was there, which, to give you a summary, I was a little disappointed, to be honest. Boston, I was a little disappointed with what you had to offer. I didn't get to see that much, but the hot spots that I thought I was going to hit kind of disappointed me. So I'll talk a little bit about that. I'll talk about my time with Shant. I'll share with you guys. And and I'll show you a couple things I picked up. Wasn't a huge haul like that I thought I would be getting just by going to another city and going to another comic book store or whatever. I thought I would be getting a lot, but didn't. So yeah, it's just going to be a chill stream today, just mainly catching up with you guys, catching up with the chat, catching up and just filling you guys in on that trip. But it was really fun, and got to experience snow, which was so cool. I mean, I went to school in the East Coast in Providence and experienced snow many times, but I got to bring my daughter this time, and she had seen snow maybe when she was a little girl here on the California side, but this is the first time for her to see East Coast snow, and she loved it. And so it was really fun, really beautiful, and we left just before it got sludgy, ugly. So we got the best of the snowfall, and it was really fun. But it was also kind of a little shock to come back here to California because we're in 60s right now, and beautiful day. So a little bit of a weather whiplash, if you will, but it was awesome. It was great. It was a great trip. But all right, let's see. I definitely want to catch up here. And like I said, it's going to be a chill stream, not super organized with what anything I'm going to show. I will show some stuff, but mainly it was just to kind of hang out with you guys and catch up and shoot the fat. But this guy I hadn't seen in a while. What's up, Mr. Monkey Boy? 1969.
How do you say monkey in French?
It's actually been a while since I've seen you, Mr. Monkey Boy 1969. I think the last few streams, I don't know if you were around, but I'm so glad to see you here. Am I in the witness relocation program now? No, but are you? So good to see you here. Mark's Music Obsession. What's up, Mark? Good to see you again. You were there you were able to witness the live stream on Sean's channel. So it was so awesome to see you there and some of the people that normally show up in my chat, pop up on his chat, and to kind of merge the worlds. It was like the planets aligned. It was wild, totally wild. Comrade Sammy, have you returned from your adventure with Sean? It was a lot of fun. We only got to see each other for half a day, I'd say, about. But it was so worth it. It was a beautiful day. The day before I went to Rhode Island. So most of my trip was in Boston. We were there for the week and just got time to spend with my daughter, hanging out in the city, exploring the city, seeing a lot of the sights. My wife had a work trip over there, so we said, hey, let's go and meet her there and just hang out. While she was working, we went and explored the city. And then so we got there on Tuesday, and then Friday was the day I was thinking, I think I can try and swing by Providence. But I was also watching the weather. So, you know, the weather was forecasting like, oh, is it going to snow? And is it going to be sunny? Is it going to be cloudy? So we really didn't know. And it was changing by the hour or by the day. So things were always changing. And Thursday, well, when we got there Tuesday evening. Wednesday was pretty cold, which is a shock to the system. So we were all bundled up, several layers. It was kind of overcast, kind of windy. Thursday got even colder. So we were talking about like 17 degrees, but the wind chill, I was looking it up, made it feel like it was like 2 degrees. So it was very cold and it was kind of overcast. It was still fun to be out, very crisp, but it was cold. But then I saw on Friday, it was going to be a beautiful sunny day. It was going to still be cold, but it's going to be a beautiful sunny day and start warming up a little bit. And it just turned out to be really perfect. And so we jumped on the train from Boston to Providence. And it was a beautiful, beautiful day. So let's see. All right. Smoky, warm Cali. Yeah. And then while we were there, the whole crazy like fires in LA started happening, which is nutso. And that's been super tragic to watch kind of unfold on the news and unfold on social media, and just being in contact with a bunch of my friends who still live in LA or are living in LA. That's been wild. For the most part, people that I know directly have been okay, have been safe. And, but I have had quite a number of friends have to evacuate, and most of them are back now. But usually it's like, at least from what I saw on social media, it's like friends of a friend who were affected by the fires directly. And there are a lot of them. So it's really tragic. Like I've shared with you guys before on stream, like I've dealt with the disasters we've dealt with in our own lives have been floods, and 3 of them to be exact. And those were totally devastating and horrible. Not only the shock of something like that happening, but just the repair and the whole process you have to go to of like grieving things you've lost, things you'll never get back, but then having to rebuild or repair or whatever. So it's a long road, and to have to go through that multiple times. I really, really feel for the people that lost a lot in this fire, because the shock of the disaster is one thing, but then having to rebuild after that is a whole other process. So I'm glad that most of the people that I know and am in contact with still have been okay, but so many people affected by that. So it's really, really horrible. Comrade Sammy says, I feel sorry for you, Rocky. Cold weather is way better. Is it, Comrade Sammy? You know, I think that it is really fun to kind of see the different seasons. You do get a little numb and spoiled with the like relatively consistent weather in California. Oh, it's always low to mid 60s, you know, and sunny. And then we just kind of alternate from sunny and foggy here in San Francisco, at least. Rarely change from that. And I think that's the big draw of, this coast and this city, to live in this city. So I do see the appeal in the changing colors and fall and, the winters and snow. But man, it takes a lot. It's exhausting to have to put on like 4 or 5 layers just to step outside. And then you go in from inside to heat. You got to take off the layers. Like if you're going to go eat at a restaurant or go into a museum or whatever, and then you got to put them back on and all this stuff. You got to track your gloves. Am I going to forget my hat? It's a lot. So I don't miss that. It's fun to visit. It was really, really fun to visit. But I don't know if it's way better. Mark's music obsession, he agrees with me. I want my warm Florida spring to hurry up. That's right. Get in here. Get in here, warm spring. Carmen Sammy says, Granny is currently streaming. Oh, okay. No problem. So maybe, whoops. I just peek out here on my volume. Probably John is over there, maybe. Huh? John, awesome one. Cranberry Langers. Yeah. Going back to Cali. Come on down, Mark. It's really nice right now. Seeing you and Sean together was wild. It was so fun. So, like I said, it was a beautiful day there, and got to see Sean and his daughter and his wife, and we ate lunch. We met him for lunch at it was like a coastal, not coast. I don't know if it was a coast. It was next to a river or a lake or something, restaurant. Beautiful. We were like the only people in the restaurant. It was beautiful. The food was great. And we were just catching up. And Shant and I, it's going to sound creepy the way that I describe this, but Shant and I, sorry, I keep hearing myself peek out. Shant and I were just looking at our kids and our respective kids and being like, wow, this is weird. This is so weird. And it was because, and I was trying to describe to my daughter, she was like, why? What was the big deal? And it's because we've known each other so long, 30 plus years, right? And we've heard about our kids and we've seen pictures and in certain cases, we, saw them maybe when they were little or babies. But then to see them as like grown human beings, their own personality, might as well, be a like on the cusp of adulthood, their own individual selves, but they're still a part of you. They're a part of Sean. They're a part of me. Sitting there across the table, it was so weird. I don't even know how to describe it. I saw a piece of like Shant and his wife there, sitting there, and so much like them, but so different. Her own individual, and I'm sure he felt the same way about my daughter. So it was bizarre. It was really bizarre. And then, of course, Shant and I seeing each other and just catching up. But the funny thing, too, is like, it's almost as if I just saw him the day before. It's like we never missed a beat, and just the way that we talked with each other and joked with each other. And here he is. What's up, Shant? So good to see you here, Sean. It doesn't compare to seeing you in person, but oh man, one of my fondest memories from that trip, and it will always be. I'm so glad we were able to make that happen, and it was Sean's crazy idea. He was like, "All right, let's fire up the stream," and I was like, "What? Like now?" Like I was just gonna post the picture, the picture that I posted on my community tab. I was just going to post and say, hey, check it out, blah, 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 blah. But Sean's like, no, we should just jump on stream now. And I was like, really? Okay. Real? Okay. And we did it. And it was really fun. I loved it. Mr. Monkey Boy said, all I saw was a black screen and a spinning circle. Bummer. What happened? I went back and watched it. So it happened. It really existed. It wasn't a figment of our imagination. I know there was a couple of buffering issues for some people, so you can definitely go back and watch it, Mr. Monkey Boy, 1969. You can watch it on Sean's channel. So do that if you will. But it wasn't that long of a stream. We streamed for maybe about half an hour, but it was really fun. People saying hello to Sean. It snowed here, and then like 2 days later, it all melted. Yeah, I think it's the same in Boston. And we didn't stick around long enough. Like it was, Saturday was the big snow day. We were outside walking, and the snow was like hitting us in the face kind of day. And then we left on Sunday. So we didn't get to stick around for the ugly sludge afterwards, which is part of it. I was trying to tell my daughter, like, we're kind of living the fantasy, like the idyllic image of New England winter here, but you're not having to live through it. You're not having to like scrape it off your windshield or like, deal with busted pipes or whatever. But yeah, it seemed like it just was a perfect timing of weather and what we were able to do in Boston. Like the day that it was snowing a lot on Saturday, we had actually set aside that day to like do a lot of the Freedom Trail, like site of the Boston Massacre, Fenwell Hall, Paul Revere's house, all those kind of things on that day. So it was involved, a little bit of walking. And when we woke up and it had already snowed maybe about a couple inches, and I was like, oh, well, are we going to do the walking thing still? And I was like, we should just do it because it's beautiful. So it was fun. It was magical. Mark's Music Obsession says 40 more subs to go. Let's do it, guys. Let's do it. Sean got me a little bit of boost when I was when we were streaming. God bless that man. So we're at 460 now. So yeah, let's go. 40 more subs. Let your friends know. That's why I felt like I needed to stream, get back into it now, just to like get the engine rolling, get the algorithm picking us up again. But yeah, 40 more subs to go. We are almost there to 500, everyone. Emo Trash. Hey, Rocky, back on your coast already. Yeah, it was a quick trip. It was just less than a week. But it was good. It was great. It was a jam-packed week. We did a lot. We saw a few college campuses just for the heck of it. Saw the like New England, the beautiful New England architecture, which I think is stunning. The like red bricks, the brownstones, the cobblestone roads. We saw Newberry Street. We saw the Charles River, which was frozen over, which was nuts. Like, cause it's, it's a pretty decent sized body of water and it's usually flowing. And, my daughter and I walked by and I'm like, is that frozen? So we took rocks and we were like chucking it at the river and it would just like hit the river and like slide all the way across. So it was awesome. Good to see you, Emo Trash. What's up, Unhinged? Jason, how are you doing? At work, swinging by to say hello. Thank you, Unhinged. Appreciate that. Drawing some, I saw on your channel or on your, on X, doing some awesome Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle drawings, which is awesome. Anytime somebody draws Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I'm in it. And I would love to see you do a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle story. That would be amazing. Unhinged. We're gonna wish it to happen. Good to see you. Mark's Music Obsession says it's warmer in SF than here. That's messed up. It's good. It's good. Emo Trash. Rocky got to go to Boston. I did. Yeah. That's where I was predominantly all last week. And then Friday, I was in Rhode Island. So went to visit my old alma mater, Rhode Island School of Design, which was great. It's a beautiful, I haven't been back to school since graduation pretty much. And it is a very, very expensive, grossly expensive school now. Don't even look up tuition. It's disgusting. But it's beautiful. It's a beautiful campus. I was really proud to kind of step on campus again and show my daughter like, oh yeah, this is the blah, 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 hall. And this is where we were learning drawing. And this is where I was learning, animation 101, and got to meet up with one of my professors there too, last minute, which was awesome. And there's so many things at that school that stayed the same and so many things that changed too. So it was wild to kind of be like swept up in the nostalgia and also feel like, wait, did I go here? Like it is. And it's really cute. Downtown Providence is cute. So it was awesome. Glad Mrs. E let you and artist in Jetty have a play day. Yes, it was wonderful to see her. She hasn't changed a bit either. It's weird. It's like just interacting with her and talking with her was as if I was talking to her in college. But now they have kids and like now they have a house and like they have their own lives, and it's wild. It's really wild. She loves rock. His family is family to us. Awesome. Yeah. Same, man. Same. I can't wait for you guys to come here to the West Coast one day and see our lives over here. Shantha's traveled to California since we graduated. He's come here more than I've gone to the East Coast. So he has seen more of my life on this side, but, anyway, yeah, it was just great. I wish we lived closer. But I also marvel at the feeling that like, wow, it's as if we never left each other. Really wild. There's some friends you have that are just like forever friends, right? And Shant and Lauren and, now his extended family, they're like that. Still snow on the ground here somehow, Emo Trash is saying. Might melt tonight if it stays this warm. Yeah. Yeah, we really just caught the beginning of it. And I was asking one of our Lyft drivers when we were going to the airport, I was like, has it snowed much? She was like, nope, hasn't snowed much this season. You guys kind of caught it right at the right time. And so it was the first time that there was a couple snowflakes. My wife texted me and she was like, go outside, it's snowing. And then the day that we walked on Saturday when we were walking, it was just coming down. And we were like making snowballs, and it was really fun. Putting on layers and layers of clothing is like one downside of cold weather. It is. And then you have to store all that stuff and you have to wash all that stuff. Holy cow. I had so many layers on layers, so many undergarments and sweaters on top of long sleeve shirts, on top of thermal shirts, and then the jacket and the scarf. And I was constantly like OCD counting, like, oh, where's my glove? Where's my hat? All this kind of stuff. I brought sunglasses, but I'm like, I am not even walking out with sunglasses because I don't need another thing to like track on top of everything. 17 here now. 17 degrees. Oh, yeah, that's cold. That really is cold. The restaurant is on the Narragansett Bay. Gotcha. Leads right out to the ocean. It was beautiful. It's so New England. Like, and Shant was even saying that, like, it's like, what did Shant said? It's like where they shot like, or I don't think they really did, but it feels like where they shot like Gilmore Girls. It like has that totally ideal New England feel to it. That whole town does. And it was beautiful. It was perfect. Picture perfect. Y'all were on the stream together, but I was at my boy's house, so I couldn't stick around too long. No problem, Emo Trash. It was great seeing you there. Freedom Trail, Fanuel, Paul Revere. That's right. Is that right up your alley? So let's talk about that a little bit. The Freedom Trail, which was great. And if you've never done it before, for those of you who haven't been to Boston before, the awesome thing about New England, East Coast, is just the amount of history, amount of American history that is there. California seems so like, dude, California, like shallow in comparison to East Coast, and it kind of is. So everything from like the architecture to just the history that is incorporated into the city is so deep and so rich in New England and in particular Boston. And so the Freedom Trail is really cool. If you've never done it before, they like inset this like red brick path along the Freedom Trail in the street and wherever it goes. So you can kind of just like you can look up a guide and it tells you where to start, which is in this big park area called Boston Common, and that's where you start. But you follow this brick inlay in the ground to follow the Freedom Trail, and it takes you all around. I think it might be in total. I think it's probably like a 4 mile walk or a 4 mile path. We didn't do the whole Freedom Trail by any means. We just did a portion of it. But part of the landmarks it takes you through are like this one cemetery called Granary Cemetery, and that's where John Hancock is buried and Paul Revere is buried, and a bunch of other people that like some people that died in the Boston Massacre, people that were like founding fathers were buried in this beautiful cemetery there, and they have these little signs that you go and look at, kind of giving you some history. Even while we were there, in the middle of the snow, they had this guy giving, I guess, a guided tour. He was dressed up like in colonial garb in the snow, talking about the history of some of these gravestones. So that was cool. We saw that. There was one of the, like, there was a church that we passed by that was, I think, the First Baptist church that had like, what they called it, an integrated surface, I guess. So it was like when colored people were integrated into the service for the first time at this Baptist church, was on the trail path. And then we went to, what was it called? The old, I think it's the Old State House. Is that right? Well, the site of the Boston Massacre. And so they have this huge like circle metal, like plated engraved thing on the ground that's like the site of the Boston Massacre. And the building itself is really beautiful. And you walk in and there's like a museum and stuff like that. And then from there, you could walk to Faneuil Hall, which was the first marketplace. And it's an indoor marketplace. And they have all these vendors and stalls, food stalls, and people selling touristy kind of stuff. But it's just kind of lined, and you walk down this hall, and then it connects to an even bigger marketplace called Quincy Market, which was built a few decades after Faneuil Hall. And yeah, they have like Chowder House, and which we ate a lot of chowder when we were there, and Lobster House. We ate a lot of lobster while we were there. And yeah, just all sorts of kind of cool foods there. And then your typical stores. So that was cool. And then you could go, we didn't get to go, but you could walk to the Boston Harbor there. And they have like the USS Constitution, which is a ship that was used in the Revolutionary War. It's still there. They have the site of the Boston Tea Party. We didn't get to go do that, again, because it was pretty cold and snowy, like the harbor kind of stuff we didn't get to do. But then one of the last stops that we went to on that day was Paul Revere's house. And that was neat. We got there like right before they were closing, but it's this kind of tiny house. They've kept it. And I believe it was first built in the late 1600s, which is unbelievable to think. And then Paul Revere he wasn't there when it was built, but he, got it later and changed a few things or stuff. But they've kept it pretty much something similar to how it was originally when he was there. So like the bed and like the little kitchen table area and these fireplaces that were installed. They had some wallpaper that they were saying this is probably was wallpaper when Paul Revere was there. So these kind of cool artifacts. And yeah, it wasn't that big, but it was neat that it was still there. So, so yeah, Paul Revere, is trying to explain to my daughter like his significance, but we always hear about his ride and him riding to tell that the British were coming. The whole one if by land, two if by sea deal. But he was also like this metalsmith, and so he built like bells, like these huge bells that were installed in churches. I can't remember how many hundreds of bells he did, and he built like mortars and all this kind of cool stuff. Like we always remember these people for one significant thing, but you forget that they had these whole lives and businesses and families and kind of made their own. So he was like a self-made man kind of thing. So it was totally neat. We love turtles that are ninjas around these parts, Comrade Sammy says. What's up, Timmy Mello?
And the Guardians are headed to October!
Awesome seeing you here. I know you popped up in Shant's stream when we streamed from Rhode Island last week, so good to see you here. Of course, it's up my alley. Emo Trash says all that history stuff. Old North Church and the Old State House, too. Yes. So there's a few other things I would recommend if you haven't seen them, Emo Trash. There's a church we stayed very close to Copley Square. Oh my gosh, Copley Square. Go to the Boston Public Library. We have a pretty nice public library here in San Francisco, the main library downtown. And I always thought like, wow, this is really beautiful. It's kind of interesting architecture and it's huge and like many floors and but the Boston Public Library is stunning. And a couple reasons why. One, it's so historical. So there's this one main room, the main like study room, reference room, and they have these green lamps. It's like what you would imagine of like a New England library. You see them in the movies all the time. Like Indiana Jones would be researching something in this library, but they have these like all these tables, right? It's super quiet, really high vaulted ceilings and books like lining the walls. Different like catwalks, lining the walls around. But then the tables have these signature green lamps. Each table has these signature green lamps, and it's just beautiful, beautiful look. And the architecture is great. All this marble and busts, heads of all whatever people that meant something to Boston or like meant something to the library. So there's that. And then an artist that's a big time Bostonian known artist is an artist by the name of John Singer Sargent. And so his stuff is all over Boston. You'll see his work in different museums. He was a great portrait artist and painter and muralist and what have you. Did amazing sketches. Just look him up, John Singer Sargent. So they have this whole mural on the, I want to say, third floor of the Boston Public Library that, gosh, I forgot what the name of it is. Some of you guys in the chat might know. But it's a mural that basically incorporates different religions. So like Christianity and Judaism and I can't even remember what the other religions were, but like symbolism in it, right? And it's this whole mural that he painted like in the ceilings of this entire floor. And I was reading about it, and it said that he spent 29 years working on this mural. 29 years. I told my daughter that. I was like, and it was beautiful. And it wasn't even the biggest mural I've seen. Like I've seen bigger ones in like Italy and like, the Sistine Chapel. Like those are immensely huge. But it was significant. It was significant that it took up this whole floor. And the figure work was beautiful. The imagery was beautiful. And I just looked up at it, and I looked at my daughter and I said, can you imagine spending 29 years on one endeavor, like one complete artwork? And she turned and looked at me and she was like, I would have given up after 3 days. And it just goes to show like the I don't know, the stick with itness, the like endurance, the like diligence, I don't know, the commitment level of artists before compared to where we are now, where we're like the TikTok social media generation where things are like changing in a heartbeat, and you know, you're relevant for like 2 minutes, if that, 15 seconds, if that. And then it's on to the next thing. And but just the and there were so many figures in this mural. And if you just looked and stared at one of the figures, you'd just be like, this is astounding. Like, I couldn't do this in my entire lifetime if I just spent time on one figure. And he did hundreds of them in this image and spent 29 years doing it. And he painted it in sections in, I think, his studio in London. And then they shipped it over here, and he had to like oversee the installation in the library. Anyway, it was ridiculous, and it was beautiful. And so there was that. Like that was like the Boston Library, and it's just like amazing architecture, right? And the other side of the library is like the modern side, which is where you can actually check out books, and it's connected to it. And they look like two different buildings from the exterior. But when you walk, you can walk into the modern side through the older side. It's connected. And it was amazing. It was an amazing library for a modern library. And they had this whole section that was it was like a cafe, but it was also the cafe was owned by GBH, which used to be called WGBH, which is their public broadcasting station in Boston. And they're very famous. Like if you listen to any kind of public radio, some sort of show is produced at GBH, and they've been around forever. And so they have this section of the cafe, like you can go and sit and get a coffee or a sandwich and watch the production of some of the radio shows that they produce there. Like they had all these cameras set up, but most of them were just like radio, like audio podcasts or whatever. So that was so cool. It was like, wow, like this is right butt up next against the classic historic side of the Boston Public Library. And then you have this kind of modern, cool, innovative side on the other side. It was awesome. It was an amazing library. So if you're ever in Boston, I highly recommend going. And it's just like a public library, going there to see it, because it was really, really cool. And it was one of the coolest like spots to visit. So there's that. Hold on. Let me just catch up here. Boston Common, yes. There's that. Then there was, oh, what's up, Mighty Geek Studios? How you doing? It was a great experience. Good to see you. There's a lot of great history on that trip. That's right. You got to see, no, I didn't get to see the USS Constitution, emo trash. That was on my list, but we didn't make it. What's New England without the clam? That's right. Clam chowder. It was good. You got to get the right mix of like thickness, creaminess, clams, fresh clams, and potatoes. You got to get that mix right. And I think I ate clam chowder. I did lobster bisque once, and clam chowder maybe 3 times while we were there. I know I gained a lot of weight. But every time they were different, and every time they were good. But they had different like mixtures of that creaminess versus potato to clam ratio. Yeah, 3 times. We went and ate. There's like a chain called Legal Seafood. We went and ate there. There was a kind of a Cajun-inspired hip restaurant we went to that we got clam chowder, which was very good there. And then we got one serving of it at Fenwell Hall at, I don't even remember what the name of the restaurant was. But it was good stuff. It makes me just like cringe at the clam chowder we get sometimes out here in California. So yeah, I mean, you can get some good clam chowder, but sometimes you get clam chowder that's really watery. Oh yeah, gotta hate it. I'm gonna go feral with envy. You gotta go, emo trash. It's great. Paul Revere was a silversmith. There you go. Mighty Geek Studios knows. Emo trash is getting all caps. Okay, so another place you should go emo trash, which is right opposite of the Boston Public Library, is a church called the Holy Trinity Church. And it's this gorgeous architecture. And I think I was reading it in one of the like pamphlets, but they were saying it's like consistently been in the top 10 of architecture wonders in America, or significant architecture feats in America, which surprised me because I'm like, why have I never, like, you think of like Frank Lloyd Wright or like, buildings in New York, I.M. Pei of like American architecture stuff. So I'd never heard of this church before, but when you go inside, it is so, it's this crazy like combination of like wood and just like vaulted, ceilings and carvings and like pattern, like these cool patterns. It was really, really stunning and beautiful, and it wasn't that expensive to go into that. So it was right there by the Boston Public Library. That was really cool to see. Holy Trinity Church. And then there was another museum we went to called the Isabel Gardner Museum, not too far from the Museum of Fine Arts, the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, which we did not go to. I was like, well, I could spend all day in every single museum in any given town, but I didn't want to totally bore my daughter or like overwhelm her. But I had heard about this Isabel Gardner Museum. And I don't know if anybody in the chat has heard about this, but basically Isabel Gardner was like a, rich heiress to some sort of fortune, and she married somebody else who was super rich. So like super rich person. And one of the things she loved to do, which I guess a lot of people during that time, rich people during that time, what they would do is just collect art. And so she loved art, and she collected all these really eclectic pieces from different time periods and different eras in art. And she just, displayed them in her home, and her home was beautiful. It's this like multi-story kind of thing. And so she had all these artwork put up, and she kind of organized it a little bit like Gothic period, and I don't know, all the different periods, Art Deco and, Art Nouveau and blah, 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 blah. But she, at the same time, it was just kind of in her home, you don't set up your home like a museum. You kind of put it up according to how you want to decorate your home. So when she died, I guess in her will, she turned her house into this museum, and they also have this really beautiful, stunning garden in the middle of it. It's all enclosed, but it's open in the house, like in the center of the house. And so in her will, she made it very specific that she wanted to turn it into a museum, but she didn't want it to be like displayed like a museum, or like to label it like, oh, this is the blah, blah, blah painting done in this year. And she wanted to keep it as is. So when you walk in there and you look at the artwork, there's no labels. I mean, you can get a guide and you can look at your phone and find out what picture is what. But if you're just walking through, you have no idea what artwork is. You're just admiring it for the beauty of the piece of artwork that it is. So that was really cool. And she had different themed rooms that have different artwork. She had like a Japanese themed room, like I said, a Gothic themed room. She had this one that had this like painting on the ceiling, beautiful painting on the ceiling. And she also happened to be good friends with John Singer Sargent. And so they had, in one of the cases, they had like her correspondence with him, and he would send her like sketches from his sketchbook, and it was all displayed like really neat. And then she had this one stained glass window that she imported from Italy and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, all this like wild stuff. You like turn the corner and you're like, oh my gosh, like who has this stuff? But one of the things that makes this place even more fascinating, and I haven't watched it yet, but apparently there's a documentary about in 1990, two guys went into this museum dressed up as security guards, confronted the existing security, or they said like, oh, we heard there was an emergency. we got to go in and check out the house. And the guy let them in. The security guard that was there let them in. They tied him up and tied up a couple other people. And they stole, I think it was 14 paintings or pieces of art from this house. And none of those have not been found, or none of them have been found to this day. So that was 1990. And, you know, it's like this huge mystery of like, how did they pull this off? And why hasn't this stuff been found? And apparently, like, if anybody has any information on the whereabouts of these pieces of art, there's like a $10 million reward, which I'm like, I need to be a detective and find out what happened to this artwork, because that's a $10 million reward. And I guess that I don't think I read this wrong. I think like the value of these 14 pieces is like in the billions, because they showed there was a picture there in the house of the artwork that was stolen. And most of them are like original Degas paintings or drawings. So those are worth like in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And in like in honor of, or they said like in the hopes that they will be returned, what they've done is in the spaces that these pieces of art were taken, they put like they kept empty frames there. So when you walk around, you're like, oh, there's an empty frame here. Or like there's a spot wall that has nothing but, or literally there's a frame there with no artwork in it. That's one that was stolen. So apparently there's this documentary on Netflix, I think it's Netflix, about this whole thing. So I want to totally check it out and see, but it was wild just to like think about how it was pulled off, but also kind of the idea that these pieces of art are floating out there somewhere. Some other rich person has it and is able to keep it under wraps. I don't know. Like how can you hide something like that? And I just feel like it would devalue if you're not allowed to say, hey, check it out. I own a Degas painting. You just keep it in your little corner or else you'll get arrested. It's like, I don't know. It feels like it devalues it a little bit, but anyway, so bizarre, but beautiful museum. I would go check that out if you're in Boston, emo trash, or anybody else. Careful, Rocky, you might make emo's head explode. She's already gone, Comrade Sammy. The Renaissance was a whole artistic era. Yeah. She was so young. R.I.P. emo trash. There's a church that took like 200 years to build in Germany. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, like, it's kind of the same, I mean, same but different, but like thinking of the Notre Dame, right? So when I went to Paris for the first time, was it the first time? Yeah, I've only been there twice. But when we went to Paris, the week before we went there, Notre Dame burnt down. And, you know, super tragic, and the French people, the Parisians, were totally devastated by it. But they were telling us, we had heard from them, it's like there was no question that there'd be enough money or budget to repair Notre Dame and get it back to the way it was. But the hard thing was to find the craftsmen and the wood to be able to do it exactly the way it was done before. Like you can repair it with like modern day wood or whatever, but it wouldn't be the same. It's only this specific kind of wood and blah, 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 blah. And I know it's repaired now, so I'm assuming they did it, but they were just saying like to be able to restore it back to the way it was, where those original craftsmen spent all that time and blood, sweat, and tears of rebuilding or building it for the first time, that you could never capture that back. So yeah, that kind of history is so fascinating. Or even walking through that graveyard, and, you know, one of the things they say when you walk in this graveyard is like, be respectful and blah, blah, blah. No rubbings on the gravestones, like no trying to get like rubbings or whatever. And I was looking at some of these gravestones and they're starting to wear out, you know, some of the lettering starting to wear out. And I was like, wow, these people are like reduced to at most a couple paragraphs in the signage of like, oh, this person was born on this day and was this profession and had this impact on America and blah, 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 and reduced to that. And then that's it. And their stone is there and their existence is reduced to that. And yet they put so much of their life and the time and effort and their, lives on the line for either their profession or their families or an ideology or whatever. But it's really humbling to like see it just totally reduced to that one spot, that one moment, that one date or whatever. Like it was crazy. And I think looking back on that kind of stuff, that kind of history, that's what's so amazing when you're faced with that. It makes you think about your own life and the things that we toil with or like over obsess about, or the things that stress us out or bring us a lot of anxiety or we strive for and like work so hard for. And you realize like, you know what? Just a blip in the history of humanity. And look at all these people, I think like, like the Boston Massacre, the people that died, there wasn't even though it's called the Boston Massacre, there wasn't a lot of people that died. It was just a kind of this horrendous moment that spurred on the revolution, the independence revolution. But I don't know anything about those people that died in that, but it would like change the course of our country. So it's pretty wild. I love that's the kind of stuff that I love about history. And I love about visiting these sites and being surrounded by that kind of stuff. It reminds you of your own life and gives you perspective on your own life. And it just gives you a lot of appreciation for, in this particular case, when you're in a city like Boston, a lot of appreciation for our country and the independence that we have and the sacrifices that were made. And, we can walk around, in beautiful Boston and like eat clam chowder and, call an Uber and like, one of the awesome, sorry, I told you this is going to be a weird stream. One of the awesome things that we ate this is not historical at all. I ate one of the best, or I'd argue it was the best cannoli I've ever eaten in my life. And I don't really like cannolis, to be honest. I've eaten a few in my lifetime and I've never really liked them. Even though people say, oh, this is a really good cannoli, you should try it. I'm like, I don't know. It's like, never like the crunchy shell filling, cheesy, not cheese, but like ricotta cheesy kind of sweet cream thing. But we went to this one place. There's two cannoli places. I think one is called Mike's Pastry and the other one's called Modern Pastry. And they're within a block of each other. And there's like a competition between the two of them as far as the best cannoli. And if you look up Boston cannoli, those two places will come up. We went to Modern Pastry just because, based on people's reviews, more people tended to like Modern Pastry for certain reasons, and those reasons kind of appealed to us. So we went there, and we never went to Mike's to compare. We should have, but they were good cannolis, man. They were really good, and they make them fresh there. So you like pick the kind of shell, you pick the kind of filling, and you pick the kind of topping, and then they make it right there in front of you, and they come out, and man, they were good, really good. So yes. That was part of it. Murals aren't done by people with short. That's right. Mighty Geek Studios. Ain't that the truth? Murals are hard. And to make it all, the amazing thing is like it tells a story in one image, but the craftsmanship of each one of the individual components of that story were out of this world. And, John Singer Sargent's one of the best, like one of the noted artists to do something like that. Can you imagine the thousands and thousands of artists who did murals that nobody really remembers or like didn't reach that pinnacle of notoriety that somebody like John Singer Sargent made? Like they spent their whole lives working on murals that nobody talks about. Oh boy. Yeah, we missed out the USS Constitution. there was a whole like Boston Tea Party experience that people, when I was watching YouTube videos about it, people were talking about. We didn't do that. That would have been kind of cool. It was like, there's one that's really interactive where you get to like, I guess you get to be part of like your assigned roles and you're part of this court case and you're like, hey, here, blah, blah. And then they go and you throw the tea off of the boat. And then you get to try the tea afterwards, like all that kind of stuff. That sounded fun, but yeah, we didn't get to do that. Seeing the U.S. Constitution would be cool. Yeah. The USS Constitution is the utmost importance, Rocky. It was. Emo Trash knows the Holy Trinity Church. Nice. Yeah, it's awesome. You are a perfect representation of this generation right now, Emo Trash. The U.S. Constant. All right, I'm going to play Fallout right now. Something else, too, that's a little farther out. I think it's called The Castle in the game. Oh, for Independence. Oh, Holy Trinity Church rivals the Cathedral de Notre Dame in design. Really? So I've never gotten to walk inside the Notre Dame because of what happened. And then the second time we went to Paris, it still hadn't opened yet. I know it just opened recently. So yeah, we've never gotten to walk inside. But really? That's hard to believe because Holy Trinity Church wasn't that big. But it was beautiful. And I know there's more to the architecture. I didn't even get the full depth of the architecture wonder and what went into it. But I know that it's like it established this specific kind of design style for the first time in this church and blah, blah, blah. But really rivals the Cathedral Notre Dame in design. We did not go to Bunker Hill. No. Yeah, there was a huge portion of the Freedom Trail that we did not walk. So I'm sure we missed out on probably more than half of what you can see on that. But we kind of hit most of the hot spots around where Fenwell Hall is. $10 million, man. It's worth it to like learn how to be a detective, an art detective. For that one reward, that would be worth it. It's like the theft of the Mona Lisa from the Louvre. Yes, exactly. Except they got it back, right? But I don't think one of these pieces, I have to watch a documentary, but I don't think one of these pieces has been returned. And, I mean, that was 1990, so that's like 35 years ago. Wow, that's crazy. And for nobody to be able to find it in 35 years, that's insane. Yes, ricotta cheese. Thought it was like, it is kind of like, it's not as thick as cream cheese. It's really light, fluffy. It's almost like a combination of cream cheese and whipped cream. And you can actually get a cannoli filled with whipped cream. That was one of the options. But most of the cannoli I've tried elsewhere, like the shell was like too thick. And it has to be thick to be able to hold the cream. All right, I'm gonna show you guys a picture. I took a picture. I'll share with you guys a picture. I'll share with you guys food pictures. How about that? Oh yeah, this is cool. Yes. I got to meet Sean's bunny too as I'm looking at my pictures. Wait. I want to find, let me find the church. Oh, man. Okay, this is going to be fun. I'll show you some pictures of, of my adventures. Okay, share. I know this has nothing to do with comics. I'll talk about the comics. And like I said, I was a little disappointed with some of the comics here. So let me see. Screen share. And we'll do not permit. Finder? No. No, not preview. Okay. Sorry, just gotta get that. I didn't have this prepared. Preview. Oh yeah, preview. There we go. Okay, preview. Okay, let me just see. Can I merge these? Oh yeah, there we go. And all right, that's the first one. Okay, let's see. Here is, can you guys see that? This is Holy Trinity Church. That's the interior of Holy Trinity Church. Is that beautiful? Like those arches, something about like the arches, but also how they combined. Like it's not just marble arches, right? They combined like the patterns and the woodwork. It was really beautiful. They even had these like, because it's a Catholic church, they had or Episcopal church, I think. They had like these kneelers that were like hand sewn kneelers, and they were embroidered, and it was pretty amazing. So that's Holy Trinity Church. Yeah. Let's see. What's this next picture here? Oh, this is the site of the Boston Massacre. So they had this like plaque. And do you see that? Can you guys see I don't know if you can see my mouse. If you can see my mouse, that brick little line in the background here where my mouse is, that's the Freedom Trail. So you can follow that thing. Look at all that snow on the ground. But this was the site of the Boston Massacre, which was pretty cool. I'm going to close that. That's one of the hot lobster and the chowder that I got to eat at Fenwell Hall. Wonderful. Look at those chunks of lobster. You can't beat I like the lobster rolls that are in butter. There's the other version that's like it's served cold with like the mixed in the mayo. I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, I'll eat it. I'll love it, but I love the hot butter, hot lobster sandwich. Look at that chowder. That spoon might as well be sticking straight up. It was so thick, but it was good. We have this, the Boston Massacre. Boom. Those are the cannolis. So the middle one and the one on the right were... Oh, so the middle one is like standard shell, traditional cream, and then dipped in pistachios. The one on the right is chocolate cream dipped in pistachio, standard shell. And then the one on the top is standard shell, traditional cream dipped in almonds. The chocolate was okay, but the one in the middle, the dipped in pistachios, that one was my favorite. With the powdered sugar, super good. It's really, really good. And then this was the Boston Public Library. Love those green lamps. And people can just go there and like study. It was so quiet. It was awesome. I wish we had a library like this. Beautiful. Let me see. I have a few more pictures here. Maybe the Isabel Gardner. That one will be cool to show. Oh yeah, that one's good. And the empty frame would be good to show. And then this was in her house and her portrait. Okay, let's see. So, well, let me just open these up. Then I'll merge windows. So this This picture here, this is a portrait by John Singer Sargent of Isabel Gardner that she had. It's like one of the last things you see on the tour of the house. So this is a full portrait, or it was huge, that he did of her, which is kind of awesome. Oh, whoops, we already saw that. This is like the interior, what do you call it? Like courtyard in the museum. So there, look, you can see all the floors, the different floors of the museum, and just look at the craftsmanship of the windows and the columns and stuff like that. Beautiful. And I guess they were saying they're they have a full-time like horticulturist that works at this museum that maintains all the greenery. It's awesome. And so you can walk into each floor, and each floor is a different artworks displayed there. This is in one of the rooms, like a mural that she had imported and installed in it, which was crazy. Really beautiful. I'm not sure who the artist was. And then this is awesome. This is like where one of the paintings was stolen, like totally stolen, but they kept that frame up there of it. But you can just see how she has different kinds of artwork just next to each other. Again, somewhat organized according to time period, but not totally, and no descriptions. So yeah, that's kind of a snapshot, a little bit of what we had or what we saw. Okay, let me see. Don't worry, Rocky. I'll teach you any stealth skills you may need as a detective. I can go to Boston, know where everything is, despite never having once actually set foot there. Oh, Fallout 4 takes place in Boston. Gotcha. I'm not a video game person, so I wouldn't know that. I get it. I get it now. So you're saying you just went to have cannoli. I didn't think I would like it. I really didn't. My wife didn't either. We were like, cannoli, we should try it. Everybody was talking about it, and there was long lines, but it was good. We went back a second time. Let's see. The Mona Lisa on display is actually a copy. Really? Is it really? Well, that's disappointing. But the funny thing with that is like, it's so tiny and it's so far away from where you are able to stand. I mean, if you push your way to the front, you can get kind of close to it. But there's just tons of people in there, and I took a photo. If I could grab it quickly, I would, but I don't know where it is. But I took a photo, and you just see all these people with their cameras out, like hundreds of people with their cameras out at this tiny little postage stamp in the corner. Cannolis are important to me. Think about it, Bunker Hill is on the Freedom Trail. Oh, okay. The copy was left by the original thieves. Oh, man. That's messed up. The thieves may have died in the passing years. Still, if they did try to ransom the art, they would still have a trail to their assets. So either way, these artifacts may never be found. Yeah, right? It's like they can't ever poke their head out. They can't ever profit from it unless it's in the black market. I don't know, but it's really weird. Like, what would you do with something that is that famous? There's no way you can share it without getting busted for a felon or for a felony. And so then you're just enjoying it in your room by yourself with your closest friends. I don't know. It's weird. Got me looking up maps now. That's awesome. Gilded grasshopper is on top of Faneuil Hall. Oh, is it? I took a picture of Faneuil Hall. I thought I did. The gilded grasshopper. There's like also this like duck statue that they based off of the famous children's book with the ducks. I forgot what it was called, but we didn't get to see that. Faneuil Hall. Man, I took a lot of pictures. Oh, okay. Oh, I don't see any grasshopper in my... Oh, I see it. Very cool. Demo Trash, you need to be my guide to Boston. All right, let's see. We'll have to, next time I'm in Boston, we're going to have to call up the old emo trash. Let's see. Yes. Yeah. I'll move this here. So, publish. So, yeah. There. Can I zoom in? Will you guys be able? Yeah, there. I think there's the. Oops. There is the grasshopper you're talking about right there. How about that? I had no idea. Pretty cool. Yeah, there's Fenwell Hall in the snow. Beautiful, beautiful hallway. It's just really picturesque in the snow. Holy Trinity is really nice. Seeing it not destroyed for once. I didn't even know it was. Copy of the Mona Lisa remains on display because the general public believes it's the original. Well, that is a bummer. Boston Library, yes. Isn't it beautiful? Making me hungry with the cannoli and the lobster. We have something similar in Cleveland with the downtown library. It's where we have the Superman. Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. I remember you posting those pictures of the Superman Museum. So if I'm not mistaken, I was trying to explain this to my daughter, but there is a building in Providence, downtown Providence, that was the inspiration, if not the model for, I think, the Daily Planet from the old Superman TV series. I think that was bought, if I remember, Providence. I think that's what it was. I didn't get to take a picture of it, though. You're making Mark hungry, and he's on a diet. Recognize that mural? Awesome. This man is well over an hour into the stream and still no comics. Sorry. I told you it's going to be, it's a Boston, it's a unique one. All right. Comics are secondary at this point. That's right. That's right. This is just a catch up. It's about you guys. It's about my trip. This is a catch up. I'll get to some comic stuff. So, emo trash. I did. Gilded grasshoppers on the top. Yep. Saw it. Yep. Okay. Will do. That's a deal. You'll have to be playing Fallout while I'm walking through Boston, and you can walk me through what's going on. Gilded Grasshopper was made by a coppersmith named Shem Drown. Wow, what a name. If Holy Trinity was ever actually destroyed, I just know that due to the whole premise of Fallout, every landmark you've rattled off here is kind of, okay. So they probably took it. They probably took the, the key landmarks and destroy them for Fallout. Yeah, that makes sense. The SBC building, that's the Daily Planet Belly. There you go. So as far as comics are concerned, so one of the places I knew I was going to go to was this place called Newberry Comics, and I had been there before when I was in college and we'd visit Boston. I'd been there before. I believe they have more than one location in Boston, but I wanted to go to the one that was on Newberry Street, which is a really, really cute shopping area, residential area, shopping/residential area, super cute street. And I wanted to go to, because I'm assuming that one was the original one. Otherwise, why'd they call it Newberry Comics? So I went there and I was like, okay, I'm going to film a video. I'm going to do like Boston videos of the comic books. I was like so psyched. And I was like filming outside and like, I didn't ask for permission. So when I don't, in a store like this, it's kind of a bigger store. So it's not like I can, talk with the owner and say, hey, this is what I do and blah, blah, blah. Can I film? I felt like I was like, okay, I got to do this a little bit incognito, not make a huge scene and get some footage. So I was filming and I, filmed footage outside. I was like, okay, cool. And then I walked into the store. I do like a walk into the store and I'm filming, trying not to be obvious. And I walked into the first floor. And I have all this footage, and I will probably cut together a comic book store spotlight video for this. But the first floor was entirely pops, the pop figures. Like, and it's a big store, so it's just all pops. And I was like, oh, wow, like, look at all these pops. So I was like, okay, cool. I was like filming it. And then it's like, all right, it can't just be pops, right? So I kept walking through the store, and then I saw a staircase, and they're like, this way to records. And so it made me remember, I was like, oh yeah, I think Newberry Comics used to have like a combo record store, blah, 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 blah. So I walked downstairs and it was all records. I didn't film anything because I'm like, this doesn't really have anything to do with comics. So I didn't film the like records section or whatever. So then I went back upstairs, and then there was another floor going up that was where they said like, oh, merchandise and comics and graphic novels. And I'm like, manga. And I was like, okay, this is where I'm going to go. So I walked up there and I went, there's huge rows of like manga, right? And I was like, where are the other comics? And on the one little small wall, they had like their current issues, and like it was kind of slim pickings. It wasn't really stocked that well, and it was kind of disorganized. And then I turned around and they had like a couple shelves of regular Western graphic novels, a couple books here and there, and then more manga, more manga. And then I turned, I was like, surely this can't be it. So I kept walking the floor, and there was like t-shirts and like figurines and other kind of merch, not even like cool comic statues. It was like mostly, I don't know, like campy kind of merchandise, like keychains and stuff like that, or socks. And then I just kept looking around, and I'm like, okay, but there's another section, right? Is there like a back issue section, or like, this is Newberry Comics we're talking about? And but there wasn't. That was it. That was all they had. It was all manga and very, very little Western comics. So I was totally bummed out. I was like, this kind of stinks, you know? And I filmed footage. I'll see if I can pull together a video, because it really didn't excite me as much. I did find, what did I buy? I just bought one thing. Oh no, I didn't even buy anything in that store. So then I like Googled, I was like, is there another comic book store nearby? So I looked up, there was another comic book store called Comicopia, and it was on Commonwealth Avenue, which is one block past Newberry Street. So Newberry Street's this long street you can walk, it goes for blocks and blocks and blocks with all these stores, and that's where Newberry Street Comics was. Commonwealth, it runs parallel to that, and that's right by it's a beautiful street as well. And then I saw the address for this place called Comicopia, so I was like, okay, it's not too far a walk. It was probably like another 10-15 minutes away. So I just decided to huff it over there. And I went, and that store was better. But again, large section of manga, and it was kind of cool because it was a store that you walked down into, and a lot of stores in Boston, I know New York's kind of like this too, where you walk down into the store. It's like underground a little bit. So I went there. The cool thing is I saw an A-frame that I guess maybe it was an event happening in February, but the artist of Absolute Wonder Woman, Hayden Sherman, and he's also drawing that Batman book. I looked at it last time. Batman Dark Patterns. We looked at this one, I think. He's drawing this too, Hayden Sherman, but I guess he's local to Boston, because they were going to do a signing there. So I was like, okay, cool. This is kind of more what I was looking for. But I walked in that store and I was like, it was all right. It wasn't. And I filmed footage in there, and that one was a little tinier. I had to be a little bit more discreet. But it didn't excite me. Like, for the most part, when I visited other stores in different towns, I usually can find something and I'm like, wow, this makes this store really cool or very unique. And this one was like, it's okay. Other than the Hayden Sherman thing, it's okay. I heard them having some conversation with somebody who'd walked in to the store, and they had great conversation with him. So maybe the people that own the store really make it kind of unique. But as far as like the first thing you see when you walk in is like a manga wall, and then you kind of have to go in a little deeper to find the like current books. So it was all right. I only put that. This is the store that I only picked up one book at. I picked up. I've been having a hard time finding this issue, Hack and Slash Body Bags, issue number 2. I've been a hard time finding it because it's not a well-known book, and not that many stores carry it. Or if they do, they'll usually carry like 1 or 2 copies, and they sell out pretty fast. So I was happily surprised that they did have this book there. But that was it. That's all I picked up there. There was no significant back issue section. And yeah, so I was like, ugh, that's about it. Those were the 2 stores I got to go to. And granted, there are many more stores in Boston, more comic book stores, but those were the ones that were the closest that I could get to without, having to travel super far to go to. And I feel like the Newbury Comics that I went to as a student when I was living in the East Coast was probably a different location than that one that I went to on Newbury Street. So maybe that one was better. And that store, for some odd reason in my memory, was like, oh, it had like the coolest, inventory of stuff. And I just had this kind of picture in my mind. And when I walked into this one, I was like, this is not what I was thinking at all. And I had set aside this whole afternoon of my time alone in Boston to like do the comic stuff, and totally fell flat. Drowned my sorrows in a cannoli. Let's see. I've seen, emo trash. I'm so glad you mentioned that. The baseball stadium fallout. Fenway, the Green Monster. So I did not get to, that was my one regret. I did not get, Timmy Mello would probably understand this. I did not get to see Fenway Park. I really wish I had time. I was close, but I was also like, had already filled out most of our day at that point. And if I had pushed like dragging my daughter around to go see Fenway Park, it would have been not great. She had already, been walking around with me already. It was really cold. And the sucky thing about winters in the East Coast is it gets dark around 4:30. So that cut our days very short. And we weren't waking up super early because we were on West Coast time. And so, we're 3 hours behind in the West Coast. So our days were very short and numbered, and we had to kind of cram in as much as we could. So I didn't get to go to Fenway, which I really, really regret not seeing it, but I just had no time to do it. That's cool. There was another museum I had on my list called the Museum of Bad Art that I was interested in going to, but I didn't make it. Mark's Music Obsession says, that store would be my spot. Don't film the records, for shame. Sorry, Mark. Yeah, you would have probably liked it. Other than that, the comics section was just, they should have just called it like Newberry Store or Newberry Pop, not Newberry Comics, Newberry Manga. Ugh, I don't know. It bummed me out. Yeah. Newberry Street, that's where pro wrestler John Cena was said to have grown up on. Really? John Cena grew up on Newberry Street? No kidding. I didn't know he was a Bostonian. David Alicia, what's up? Body bags. Yeah. I'm a big, I'm a big body bags supporter. This artist, he's okay. He's no Jason Pearson, but I'm just supporting it because of I'm sure Jason Pearson's mom, who is in charge of his estate, I'm sure she gets a cut of whatever profits they make from using body bags in that story. And I love those characters, Panda and Clownface. So I'll support it. And speaking of body bags, as I've been getting back into YouTube, I just saw Shelby did an amazing body bags drawing. So go check out his channel, American Discord. His body bags pinup looked so cool. I didn't even know he's working on that until I checked out his channel recently. So The comic connoisseur has been let down. That's the regret, emo trash. Yeah, Paul Revere's house, Fenwell Hall, site of the Boston Massacre, American Independence is aight. But Newberry Comics, boo. Fenway is probably the oldest park in baseball. I know. And it's beautiful too. It's got so much history. Talk about history. I just couldn't swing it. There. 1912. Wow. 1060 West Addison, Chicago. It's amazing. Timmy Mello. What is that? I missed that conversation. All right. So one thing I will show. Okay. So let's look at some comics. Let's bring it in here. We talked about history and Boston, and it was fun. Highly recommend anybody wanting to go visit Boston. It's a beautiful city. They call it a walking city. They call San Francisco a walking city, but Boston is definitely a walking city, and especially just in good weather, in cold 2-degree, winds pelting you in the face. It's a little much, but I'm sure in beautiful days you can walk anywhere there if you have all the time in the world. So let's talk a little bit more about comics here, and I'll show you a few more things. So there's a couple things that I know that when this Wednesday comes, I'll have new comics. I'll get back into the rhythm of the comics that I'm picking up. But there is one Wednesday that I missed, whether it was during Christmas time. I think it was during Christmas time or during this break. I think it was Christmas time that this book came out, which was Batman Gargoyle of Gotham #3. This book, I've been tracking this book, and I've been a huge fan of this book for wait, hold on, I'm just looking at the borders here. That's weird. Sorry. I know that was strange. But why does it seem like there is a border on this? Camera. No, that's right. Strange. Source. Camera. Yeah. Oh, maybe that's why. Is that why? Sorry. Something just... That's why. That makes sense. All right. I'm talking to myself. Okay. Anywho, this was a book that I started picking up in 2024. The first 2 issues came out relatively regularly, but this is a book, Batman book, written and drawn by an artist creator by the name of Rafael Grampa. And I bring him up because he is one of my favorites right now as far as just creators, artists. His style is so unique and dynamic, and so he's doing this original series. I think it's either a 5 or 6 issue miniseries of Batman, and his first foray into Batman was he did a couple of like small, tiny short stories, black and white stories, in a couple of anthologies, and then he worked on Batman Golden Child with Frank Miller, which was kind of takes place in the Dark Knight time period, and that one was incredible, and I've showed that before on stream. And so when he was announced that he was going to be doing Gargoyle of Gotham, I was really excited about that, and it has been so good. And the best part about this series, or one of the best parts about this series, is that they've also been releasing Noir editions for each of the issues, and I've been snatching those up just because seeing his artwork in black and white is phenomenal. And I think the DC knows that, and that's why they made, like, usually when they've been doing these Noir editions, they'll just do it for the first issue. But for all of his issues, they're doing a Noir edition, so I definitely signed up for all of them. This cover in particular was one that I requested. I don't usually jump on variant covers that often because, one, they're more expensive than the standard cover, and two, I don't know. I'm not that hardcore of a collector that I have to have like variant editions that some people do. But this one I loved a lot because it was drawn by Jamie Hewlett, who is the creator and artist designer on Gorillaz, that animated band called Gorillaz. And he also created Tank Girl. And so when they announced that he was doing a cover, I was like, wow, that's so cool. And this turned out to be a really cool cover. So, yeah. So anyway, I picked this up, I think it was during Christmas break. But, and there's been a huge break between, or huge delay between issues 2 and 3, book 2 and 3 of this. And I'm just assuming that Raphael Grompa is kind of slow, probably because he spends a lot of time in his artwork, and he has got a lot of other stuff going on. But I've really loved this series, and I actually, after I read this issue, I was like, I got to go back and read 1 and 2 because I kind of forgot what was happening. But each issue, he introduces like a new character, like a new villain, and he's so good. His Batman is so cool. Great design, and the colorist Mateus Lopez is a great colorist on Grampa's stuff. I've talked about him before on stream. But he has this guy. These guys remind me of Squid Game a little bit. He has this like cult that Batman discovers, and this issue. You don't see it in this cover, but the cover for the standard cover for issue 3 of this book is this creepy face of the Joker of this world. They call him Little Joker, and this is his introduction in this issue. So it was this build up to like, oh, here comes Raphael Grampa's version of Joker, and he's creepy kid. I love Grampa's. He's got a cool like cartooniness in his style. He's influenced by cartoons, but they're also like really well drawn and like this awesome anatomy. Look at that pose of Batman like hanging out in the pipes, or Bruce Wayne. Just dynamic figures. He's a great designer. And he does this cool stuff with the lettering too. Like look at these sound effects here. They're like in perspective with the car, and they're also like cursive. Crazy. Coloring is awesome in this. Okay, so here is the intro to Joker. And like he runs into this character who was introduced, the villain who was introduced in the first issue. His name is Cry-Toon. And he's this guy, this like dark, this all black character here. So he's kind of hiding out in the shed, and the little Joker kid comes up to him and is like, hey, draw me a picture. And then he goes psycho here. Yeah, but he does these like cartoony kind of things here too. There's Joker. He's just nuts. And then there's Cry-Toon, which is a cool character. He's based on like an old Fleischer style animated character. Cry-Toon, and he's crying all the time. But look how cartoony he gets right here in this expression. But then he gets like super psycho in this, with a knife through the... He goes there with the violence. And he has this interesting, or this kind of morbid sequence here where so he stabbed his like kid, the baby doll here, and you see the baby doll neck here. He like sets it up there, but then super close up, and you see blood leaking out of it, and you're like, wait, where's that blood coming from? And he like stabbed the dude in the head. It's this crazy expression. It's nutso. And kind of the premise is like Batman's realizing, or Bruce Wayne's realizing he's part of this conspiracy of kids that were affected by this psychologist that was working at Arkham. He was one of the kids. And this guy, this is messed up. The violence is really kicked up in this issue. He's kind of walking through the subway and trying to avoid this character from the cult. And he starts seeing these things flying in the background. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. And you're like, what is going on? And they're just heads. They're all heads. The guy just cut off all their heads. It's crazy. And then Bruce Wayne knocks off his helmet and he's got this like deformed face underneath. It's really grotesque. His Bruce Wayne is cool. He's like really handsome and like dark, brooding. It's awesome. So good. And the writing's great too. I don't think English is Rafael Grampa's first language, but it's great. Emo Trash says that looks like if Chucky exactly. Yeah, it's definitely that like Chucky territory. Very Court of Owls like. Yep, it does have that. Yep, Grandpa. Rocky's favorite Grandpa, yeah. What's up? Art Times of J. Ryan. How you doing, man?
It's actually a really good sculpt.
Haven't talked to you in a while. How are you doing? Oh, Mark's Music Obsession. That was Wrigley Field's address. Gotcha. Chicago. What's all this then? You just missed it. I did a whole rundown of my trip to Boston, Massachusetts. Wicked Pissa. It was really fun. But now we're getting into some comics here. So this is the first comic I really talked about on this stream. How long? We're already almost 2 hours in, and this is the first comic I'm really talking about. Timmy Mello says, one of these days I'll get a chance to see Wrigley Field. We'll certainly see enough Cubs fans rave about the place in the season. Yeah, that's how I felt about Fenway, but yeah, I just couldn't do it. We'll have to go back. Grandpa. Very Cordova. Yep. The Squirt Game. I have the Gorillas Rise of the Ogre art book I should do a video on. You should. Yeah, I have that other art of Jamie Hewlett art book that I've shown before on stream. But yeah, that's a good book. Is that the one, Rise of the Ogre? I know there's an art book that's like a tribute to gorillas, but maybe that one's not it. Maybe that's more of just the art of. Yeah, Jamie Hewlett's amazing. His progression has been incredible to watch from what he started off doing to where he is now. Now he's like a fine artist with his style, but he started off as like, no, British comic book artist, kind of stylized comic book artist, and just like catapulted once he got into the gorillas territory. So one thing, just a quick flip through of this Noir edition. I love seeing Grampa's work in black and white because as great as the colors are in the colored version, I mean, I shouldn't even say it that way. Like the colored version is great, really great colors, work so well with his art style. I find that the black and white usually, if I had to pick one between in a comic book and I'm given a black and white version, that's usually the one I pick as my favorite. 9 times out of 10. Just because I love black and white comic book art. And I think that those artists who can successfully tell their story and command their story, the visuals of their story in black and white art, those are at a different level than just relying heavily on a colorist. No knock on the colorist's job and what they do, but I just think the art of black and white comic book art is just a whole other animal. However, I consistently, in all the Noir editions and the colored versions of this Gargoyle of Gotham series, I love both of them equally. And I get something from both of them. I get something different by reading both of them. Whether it's, I notice details that I wouldn't have in one version over the other, or some part of the storytelling comes across, has a different impact than the other version. So I love that they have made both available to us as collectors, that we can see them, because they're really fun to kind of do a comparison. Like, I just feel like when you look at this page, just the black and white part of this page, like Batman is just popping because he's black on mostly white background. Like, he puts the heavy spotted blacks on Batman himself. In the colored version, he's the same. He stands out, but you're picking up all these other colors and kind of this color information, and it just feels different. It feels different than the black and white version. But both equally cool. Like Crytoon, because he's based on a black and white cartoon character, really stands out in the colored version. But he has, like, in this page, maybe it's not the best example. He does have a tint of the environment colors in him, and here he's just total standout there. Like, all this fun, like, detail, and this reverse of where he's drawing in white of these details here on black, really pick up on it when you look at it in the black and white version. And it's still cool here. It's not like it gets lost, but you're not really focusing on it as much. That's a great panel right there in black and white. I guess they kept it. Yeah, they kept most in black and white there. It's kind of in the past. Like, that's cool in black and white, but actually I think I like the colored version a little bit better, because that blue glow, it's rad. And yeah, I don't know how much I don't think he's drawing digitally. I could be wrong. He might be. I could be wrong. Or if he's scanning in the stuff and then, processing it digitally first in grayscale before he hands it off to the colorist. That's a possibility as well. I mean, he does do these, like, digital. I think, like, this shading is digital effects. This shading is definitely digital effects. Look how cool Crytoon looks. And he chooses in this moment, like, to give some gray shading for, like, the muscles. Almost like a Richard Corbin kind of shading here. But then he goes, like, flat black and white here, which is awesome. Let's see how that feels in the colored version. It's still cool. It's still rad. But yeah, there's something really powerful about that. Psycho Joker. And then this is cool, like, to feel this, like, brush strokey kind of stuff right here for this underground sewer. Right here too. I'm sure you see it. You feel it, but it's a little different in the black and white. It's like raining blood. I mean, you feel it here for sure. Something more bold. Anyway, it's awesome. I'm glad that this is a killer cover too by Rafael Grampa. I'm glad that this book came out. This issue came out finally again. Hopefully, we don't have to wait so long for book 4. But great pickup. Highly recommend this series. The Joker. Chucky and Joker. Joker's play. That's right. I bet the psychologist is that world's version of Hugo Strange. Happy New Year to you, Art and Times J. Ryan. Hope you had a good break, good celebration. Cranberry Landers, good seeing you, man.
This is a cranberry full of power.
Good to see you again. Glad that you are here. Glad you could finally join us. Yeah, did Granny finally end? Bring John with you? Yeah, get John in here. I am likely the reason Rocky has taken as long as he has this time, Emo Trash says. All right. Okay, Batman. All right, cool. So, I apologize for nothing. Cool covers, great interiors in that last book with the evil baby. Nice. You can't mention effing Boston in my presence and not get the extent of my knowledge on literally everything to do with the American Revolution. Yeah, apparently something to do with tea, something. It was the Haba. They had so many shirts and stuff that was like, Wicked Pisser, Boston Harbor. I love it. Potato tomato. Yes, I know. I didn't get to see the boat. All right. So one of the things I will share. So I did get to go to a cool bookstore there. I went to the Harvard bookstore while I was there. So one of the places we visited was the campus of Harvard. Beautiful campus. I mean, it doesn't get to be the number one Ivy League or one of the top Ivy League schools in the country for no reason. It's beautiful, right? It's all a reputation, blah, blah, blah. Super smart people go there, yada, yada. Gorgeous. But I had been to their bookstore before a long time ago, and I remember it being really cool. So decided to go back there again and see what they had. Walked in, and fortunately, it was like your standard bookstore. Is beautiful in like the Harvard area where it was. They have 2 bookstores. One's the Harvard bookstore, and the other one's called the Coop. And the Coop is more of their where they get textbooks and supplies and blah blah blah, connected to the school. The Harvard bookstore. I mean, I think it's. I don't think it's connected to the school. It's more independent. Yeah, independently owned since 1932. Pretty old. But the cool thing about the Harvard bookstore is they had a used section, which I always love when I go to bookstores. And I walked downstairs. You walk downstairs into kind of their basement level of their used stuff. And they had a huge graphic novel section, which was great. It was way better than the 2 comic book stores I walked into. So I did pick up one thing there, and it's this graphic novel called The Futurians. So for those of you who might remember, I had a magazine. Where did I put that magazine? Somewhere. Where did I put that magazine? I don't know. I had a magazine. One of the weeks, one of my Wednesday comics, I had a magazine I picked up. It was from Back Issue, and they were talking about graphic novels and that format that Marvel used back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And it was kind of this new format, and it went through the history of the different graphic novels that they produced, the timeline history that Marvel produced, and the significance of those. So, it was like Death of Captain Marvel was a big one, and that thing Incredible Hulk one that I picked up, the big game. That one's it. God Loves Man Kills, which is huge in the X-Men universe. And this was one of the ones that they had mentioned, the Futurians, and I had heard about this one. Dave Cockrum was a long-time artist on X-Men. Let me pull out one of Dave Cockrum's stuff. Dave Cockrum was credited with a lot of the newer X-Men that joined the team, like Storm and Colossus and Nightcrawler, and the new designs of these X-Men. So it was like Kirby, and then some people here and there in the middle of that, and then kind of Cockrum had this long run with Chris Claremont. They both kind of, if I'm not mistaken, they both kind of started on X-Men around the same time. Neil Adams was mixed in there too, but there's like this Cockrum style, and I remember as a kid like really being into Dave Cockrum stuff, just because he drew so many significant issues. This is a classic. X-Men 94 is a classic issue. And so I always remember Dave Cockrum's like his cheekbones. He always do those like hard cheekbones in the designs. But he had some cool costume designs, very unique, interesting stuff. Like this, what he designed this costume of Storm. This is fun stuff. So he had a long run working with Chris Claremont on the X-Men, and a lot of very significant issues of the X-Men. And then, John Byrne took over after Cockrum and kind of took it up another level with the whole Dark Phoenix storyline. And then Paul Smith had a long run on X-Men, which I loved Paul Smith stuff. That's where we got the like Mohawk Storm. We got the Wolverine stories. We got the Morlocks. We got a lot of Kitty Pryde stuff with Dave Cockrum. I'm sorry, with Paul Smith. And speaking of which, Paul Smith, they're coming out with an artist edition of Paul Smith's work, which I've got my eye on. It's supposed to come out sometime this year. But yeah, here's Lalandra. Yeah, this is Dave Cockrum stuff. Let me see. I thought in the back of this. Oh yeah, cool. So here is some costume designs that Cockrum did. There he is. His like early concepts of Nightcrawler. These were Wolverine sketches by John Romita, and then Cockrum took them, and I think he did the brown costume, if I'm not mistaken. Just some random characters. And I show all this because I'm about to get to this. This was like some of his costume designs for Phoenix. They have a Dave Cockrum artist edition too, as well. But I show all this to kind of lead into the Futurians. Oh yeah, he designed the Starjammers. You guys remember those? Talked about the Starjammers a little bit last stream where we were showing Jim Lee's version of the Starjammers. I love Dave Cockrum's Nightcrawler. Great design. So yeah, here's the original designs he was doing. Storm, Colossus, that like V Colossus's suit. Yeah. So then he did Futurians, which was his own creation, his own team, and his own designs, his own writing. And it was one of the first Marvel graphic novels that came out. A 1 to 2% tax on tea. How far we've Bah Harvard. I like that era of X-Men books. Yeah, it was fun. It was solid, really solid. I wouldn't say Dave Cockrum's like my favorite artist as far as X-Men artists are concerned. I think he was just solid, and like you knew what you were getting. He knew how to draw. He knew how to design. He knew how to tell stories. So I loved that aspect. But I was wowed more with the other artists I mentioned: Paul Smith, John Romita Jr., definitely Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee. Those guys. Those were more my jam. But I love Dave Cockrum's work, and I have a greater appreciation for it as I've gotten older too. Okay, you guys are talking about taxes. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, I found this Futurians. It's not that, at least I haven't found it that easy to find. So it was nice to see it at the Harvard bookstore. And as typical as these graphic novel formats are, they spent more on the printing quality, the printing resolution, and the format. And so it allowed the artists to do different kinds of coloring and rendering that you couldn't do in standard comic books. So there was always more like a painterly feel to the colors in these graphic novels. But you can tell Cockrum loved space epic stories because the new characters that he created a lot of new characters for the X-Men world that were like the space, like the Starjammers, or I think he was the first one to draw Lalandra and that whole crew. I haven't read this story yet, so I have no idea what the Futurians are about. I love that name, though. I love their designs. Even this crazy eagle dude. It's cool, though. Yeah, a lot of space. Here they are. Terrain, the Earth Mover, Black Mane, the Mosquito. Oh, that's a horrible. She's not Wasp. She's the Mosquito. That's a little less cool as Wasp. Silver Shadow, Silky, Werehawk, not Wolverine. He's Werehawk. Avatar. That's a cool character. And as far as I know, I think this is just a one-shot, self-contained graphic novel. I don't think it ever became a series. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think it ever became a series. It's possible that they were just, they would do a self-contained story, and if it became something bigger or had a huge following, they would have done a series. But I don't think there was any more Futurians after this. I could be wrong. So yeah, nice coloring effects, classic Dave Cockrum artwork. I heard that he had some health issues and was not really taken care of, like with all the work that he did for Marvel. I think he was one of those artists that did not get his due, which is really sad. And so he was kind of struggling at the end there, and I think he had a lot of health issues too, Dave Cockrum did, before he passed away. Which is just really, it's a bummer, man. It's like you look at this stuff and you think about the impact that their stories had on so many of us growing up. You just feel like they deserved a good retirement at least. But more often than not, you hear these stories about comic book artists who are just struggling at the end of their lives, struggling to stay relevant, struggling to like be paid for the creations they've created. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of sad. I always have this like melancholy feel in my mind when I think of Dave Cockrum, because just hearing about his story outside of the artwork he did, but his story afterwards as an artist just makes me really sad. Yeah. The Futurians, future dynamics. I give a little. 1983, David Cockrum. Yep. Landra was attractive, minus the feather hair and weird metal helmet. I always loved how that helmet was made to fit her hair in it. Like, became this hard metal triangle to fit that weird hair. Time for a second revolution, Emo Trash says. She ain't having it. Current government is full of fake royalty, she says. Drain the swamp. We'll see what's going to happen. We'll see what's going to happen in how many days? 7 days. Great page for the Phoenix. I already said that right. That's a big lizard. Timmy Milo says. Yeah. Where was that page? I thought the same thing. That is a big guy right there. He's being a bit too imperialistic, dictatory. Cranberry Landers is saying. We talking about our future head of commander in chief, maybe. Yeah, all the like talk of Greenland and Canada, the 51st state. It's crazy. The crazy things that are coming out. Of course, he never got his due. Mr. Monkey Boy 1969 says he worked for Marvel. I don't want to beat a dead horse, you know, with commentary that many people have had about Marvel and DC and how they treat their artists and the independent movement and blah, 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 blah. But it's just so sad. It really is. It just makes you question, like, somebody like myself or any artist who wants to be a creator or a storyteller. It's just like, well, gotta just do it herself then, because it just ain't worth it. Pages look great. It's unbelievable given the impact comic creators have left on the industry that they are left with so little. It really is eye-opening. It is. It's sad. And it doesn't make you like excited to. I think that's what the difference when the Image guys did what they did with Image. Where that's why it shook up the industry so much. Because, yeah, they were popular and they were great and everybody loved their style and the stuff they were doing was so cutting edge and exciting. But when they started Image Comics and were successful, like rock and roll rock stars successful, that just turned the industry upside down and just made kids like me looking at that like, oh, I want to do that because that could be successful. That could, not only could you do what you love and do something exciting and draw these cool characters, but you could also like make a good living off of it. Like, sign me up, as opposed to looking at like, wow, Dave Cockrum, you can work your whole life and like put your heart and soul into creating these amazing stories and this artwork and these designs, and then you can die poor. Yay. Like, yeah. That doesn't look very exciting. He's playing his game. He's good at it. Don't fret, Cranberry. Yeah. We haven't seen anything yet. We'll see what happens. Emo Trash has to go back to school in a little over a week. Everybody's going back now, Emo Trash. Time's running out. Take a side trip to Boston. John, what's up, John?
He goes, what's your name? He goes, John.
Did anyone tell Rocky this is not Wednesday? I know, right? I didn't even know when I was creating the thumbnail for this stream. I was like, I don't even know what to use. It's not Wednesday. It's not a master study. Oh, and speaking of, I'll talk about that in a second. Maybe I'll close out on that. It's not a master study. It's not an unboxing. What is it? I don't have a thumbnail for catch up. I don't know. It's just a mess. So I just went with my Wednesday Comics Boston edition because that's what I did for the Paris edition, sort of. So anyway, great to see you, John. We missed you on Sean's stream last Friday when we were there in person together. For those of you who haven't seen it, go check out Sean's channel, his latest live stream where we were in the same room together and talking. I went in there. He's got a couch in there. He's got all his stuff. And I kid you not, I walked in there and I was like, can I straighten this out for you? Like, I just give me 30 minutes and I'll organize some stuff. And he was like, no. And he was joking around. And I took, like, where I was trying to sit, I like moved a little space to sit on the couch and just organized the books on the floor, like straighten them up just enough so I could put my feet down on the ground. It felt so familiar to me because I did that a million times when I first got to know Sean. I would go into his room, be so excited because he just has so much cool stuff in there. Anything you could ever ask for. I even asked him, I was like, hey, Sean, do you have that Spawn Vault edition, which is like an artist edition that McFarlane came out with a couple years ago? It's like, I know you have this. Do you have a Spawn Vault edition? He was like, let me think about it. And then he like put his hand into this random stack and pulled it out, and I got to flip through it. He was like, oh, you should check out the blah 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 issue 9. That cover's gonna make you cry. And I flipped it. Sure enough, Shant has like an amazing photographic memory. Sure enough, that cover like really hit me. And so I got to flip through it. It was just so cool, and it just reminded me of the many times in college and beyond where I would just walk into his room and it's like Christmas, like you're just looking through all this cool stuff all the time. But dang it, the OCD in me, I was like, oh, I just want to like read. I was like, do you need to keep this box? There's nothing in the box. Do you need to keep it? He's like, just leave it. It was so awesome. It was so familiar. Mike Barr comes to mind as average guys you would know, and he created Damian Wayne, who's a huge success. There you go. This is not Wednesday. Thank you. We want Wednesday as well. Mark's Music Obsession says, you'll get Wednesday. Okay. Money management is important in gig jobs. Yeah, I guess. Hello, how are you? That's my cat. He missed us. So he's in here with me. Yes. Do you need to go outside? Okay, maybe you need to go to the bathroom. Hold on a second. Oh yeah, I have one more thing I can show. This was something I got. My kids got this for me for Christmas, and this is amazing. But I thought it'd be worth showing on stream too. Let me catch up on chat, and then I'll talk about this. I'll talk about what's coming up, and I'll let you guys go because it's not Wednesday. I just realized John told me. I wouldn't have known if John didn't mention it. It's not Wednesday. Yes, I saw it, Rocky, a bit surreal. Isn't it? Wasn't it? It was crazy. It was almost like mixing two ingredients that you weren't sure would not combust if you put them together. I tried. I didn't have enough time. I tried. And I didn't want to like mess up the juju in there. You know what I mean? Like he knew where everything was, which was amazing. And it was exactly as I thought it would be. Shant would know where everything is. He's one of those people that is just like, oh, you know, there's a method to his madness. Did you hear the Wilhelm scream? I almost created the Wilhelm scream myself being in there. We missed you, Cranberry Landers. Today identifies as Wednesday as far as I'm concerned. There you go. The lion roars. Okay. Is F near H? To be maybe honest. To be frank, Rocky Boston was more important. Yes. Shant just lives in an organized mess. Okay. Oh yeah, so this book, this is great. I got this for Christmas for my kids. They picked it out on their own, and this just so happens to be, he's a background painter for, I might be opening up backwards. Oh, it's okay. Background painter for Studio Ghibli work. And this is next level. Like this is all traditional, everyone. This is not digital stuff. And they're showing it right here. Like this is traditional. And amazingly, Shant's desk kind of looked like this. Like just the paints everywhere. He's using the same paint palette that he was using right when we got out of college. Not the same palette, but the same brand paint, the Pelican, what do you call it? Palette. And I saw that there, all his brushes. I mean, you can imagine like, and I've raved about his book, Nosfero. The print quality in that book is astounding. It's very good. And the color resolution and the reproduction compared to his originals is amazing. However, seeing his originals, so I saw like the current Nosfero cover that he's working on for the new Second Chance campaign and the artist edition. And if you haven't backed those, please go back those because it's awesome. I backed his first book, and I'm gonna his first edition of Nosfero and the second edition and the artist edition as well. I can't wait to get those in my hands. But to see Shant's original artwork in person, number one, it's huge, right? It's bigger scale, but number two, it's just beautiful. It's like they're works of art, and yes, the reproduction is incredible for his book, but it just can't compare to the actual originals in your hand, like the feel of the paper. And he just has them. The amazing thing is he just has them all over his studio, like just, piles stacked up here and there. These beautiful portraits he's painted of his family in his living room. And then he just has like his originals all over. And I was just pointing out, my daughter was with me. I was like, look, like Uncle Shant did all of those. And she was just like, wow, it's crazy. But look at this beautiful background. My gosh, like these belong in the Isabel Gardner Museum. Amazing atmosphere, amazing colors. Look at that. Like you feel like you could step into that page. That is so good. The values and the color theory in that are so good. And it's amazing because if you look up close, like you can see the brush strokes here, but like how the detail reduces as you go farther back in the distance, and just adds that amazing depth to the picture. Like you can feel the sun like hitting the top of that stone wall. It's really good. There's a couple pages in here, I think, where you can see this great sequence from Spirited Away, I believe. Oh, no, Princess Mononoke. You almost take the backgrounds of Ghibli for granted. Everybody's always talking about, oh, Totoro or like Kiki or like Princess Mononoke, but like you take for granted the craft of these background artists. I got to use Google Translate to figure out what all this stuff is. But oh yeah, I love this. They show their like color palettes that they use. Brushes. Look at that. I love this one. This is like motion blur, but it's painted. That's stunning. Great stuff. Yeah, so my kids gave me this for Christmas to like depress me successfully. Oh, TBF is to be fair. Gotcha. I had my sketchbook in front of me this whole time. Awesome. How many brushes did you steal from Shant? I didn't steal any. I should have. Oh, look at this. Look at sunset. It's like more watercolory. This is from a different production, I think. I hear you, my cat. It's getting close to 6. That's why he's getting hungry. I think this must be from a commercial, a Hitachi commercial. Can you imagine that kind of background on a Hitachi commercial? This is Spirited Away. Oh, I love that. So cool. When you look at it up close, they're actually really... There's so much depth in that. Let me zoom in on that. When you look at it up close, it's really very simplified. I know my resolution isn't the greatest because I'm zoomed in so far. I'm zoomed in like 328%, but these are pretty simple strokes here. But they're all in the right place, and the color values are spot on. You just feel like you're looking at this like deep perspective, this overhead shot. Love the lighting. Jeez. Look at that. Good night. I've walked down something like that before. Get the little like moths in the light. Yeah, the level of craftsmanship on these backgrounds are insane. Anyway, cool book. Aga Kazuo Animation Artworks. Oga Kazuo. Fun. All right. Okay, where are we at? That path, yes. Holy moly! Wow. That book is great. Yeah, I mean, there's something like, you know, Ghibli movies have a certain feel, certain kind of ambiance, if you will, and there's just a touch. And yes, a lot of that has to do with Miyazaki and the stories he tells and the characters and how he tells the stories, blah 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 blah. But those backgrounds, man, they just give you like a lived-in like realism that's so beautiful. They just invoke emotion. Just looking at the backgrounds themselves by themselves, let alone in the story, like incredible. Cabin. Yep. Kitty is talking about it. Wow, meow. Yeah. Pompoko. Oh, that's right. You can tell us if you took I didn't take anything. Awesome one. What's up, man?
Yes, that's awesome.
Happy New Year. Holy cannoli. Perfect. Cranberry Landers. Love it. I don't know if you were here when I was talking about cannoli, but that is a perfect way to tie in to my early Boston talk. Holy cannoli. John, did you not? You guys got to go back and watch the earlier part of the stream. I shared with you a nice picture of the cannoli I tried in Boston this past week, and it was great. It was the best cannoli I've ever had. And I'm not a big cannoli fan by any means. Yes. There you go. Yeah, check it out, guys. I'll keep it on screen. So we got a winner here. Oga Kazuo. I'll hold it like this. Animation Artworks. My kids picked it up at Kinokuniya, which is a Japanese bookstore here in San Francisco. I believe you can order it online. It's great. GIF. Oh, yes. The debate is GIF, GIF, Ghibli. What is it? Oh, really? Okay. Nice. The cannoli. Yes, I had a whole thing about these cannolis that I tried out in Boston. It was amazing. Go back and watch the stream earlier because I showed a picture of it. They were great. They were amazing. Emo trash. Hilarious. Boston, wouldn't it be a wicked? Yes, it's a wicked cannoli. Wicked. All right. That's the second book. This is the second book? Is there another one? Oh, geez. Goodness gracious. An online Japanese bookstore. Yeah. Dangerous. Kinokuniya. There's another bookstore that I get some Japanese art books from called... Let me see. I'll give you guys a link. I believe it's called... No. Oh. That's right. It's very easy to remember, but I'll post the link in the chat. It's called animebooks.com. I've ordered some stuff from there a couple times before, and they have a good selection. I don't know if they have this particular book, but it's a good store. And then Kinokuniya, I don't order online from them, but because we have one here locally. It's not the cheapest, probably because they're importing it, but some great stuff. Cranberry Lantern says, I saw my baby nephew in the womb. That's amazing. That is amazing. And I'm sure that technology is even more incredible now than when my kids were in the womb. They, at that time, when my kids were born, you could look at a 3D version. So they had that, or 4D or whatever they called it. You could watch that. And then they would print out these snapshots. But I'm sure it's all crazy high tech now. All right, so let's see. Maybe consider the artist for Blame's artworks. The artist for Blame's art books. Oh, okay. Huh. Okay. I'll have to check that out. I don't even think I know what Blame is. Okay, so what's going to happen? So tomorrow, Tuesday, I want to finish this master study, the Barry Windsor Smith one. I'm behind on that one because of all the holiday stuff. So I'm probably going to stream tomorrow, do a master study stream tomorrow to finish that one up. I think I can finish up in one more go. Probably more towards the later part of the day, not in the morning. So yeah, I want to finish that up. And then Wednesday Comics is coming. I'm probably going to stream there if I pick up anything. I don't know what is coming out this week. I think maybe a couple things I'm looking for. But I do want to stream for my Wednesday Comics to get back in the rhythm of that. So yeah, at least 2 more-ish streams this week. But I'm trying to get back into that rhythm, like I said at the top of this stream. Trying to get back into the rhythm of streaming more because I want to push towards hitting 500. Streaming with Shant last week was amazing, and it gave me, I think it gave me like 3 or 4 more followers, which was awesome. We have got 40 more to go to hit 500. Is that right? Are we still at 460? Let me refresh here. I think so. Yep, still 460. So that's awesome. We are on our way. Let's do it. Let's push this and get to 500 so we can, I don't know, what can we do? Get subscribers. I mean, not get subscribers, get memberships or something. I better figure that out soon so it doesn't like sneak up on me. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. And then I've got a couple things cooking, a couple of new things cooking as far as added videos or whatever. I've got to get on a couple more pre-recorded videos, not just live streaming, but pre-recorded videos that I have in the pipeline. So yeah, a lot of good stuff. January, we are done with our holiday traveling, blah, blah, blah. January is here, almost halfway, midway point in January already. And the new year is rolling. So we got to get on it and get going with this channel and all the fun stuff that can be made, created, talked about, enjoyed on this channel. So let's do it, you guys. I should just go back to Boston because it gave me a lot of things to talk about. Yeah, it was funny too because like when we were in Boston, kind of watching YouTube to see what should we do with this guy or that, I saw a lot of people doing their YouTube videos, and those also like inspired me as far as my own channel of like, I can see why people do like travel videos and, you know, food videos and all that kind of stuff. It's so interesting to see everybody's experience and learn from it through YouTube. So anyway, hopefully you guys got something fun out of this one. It was great catching up with you. Let me just make sure. Let me catch up here on the chat and then I'll let you guys go. He was yawning in the video. Yeah. Oh, those early days, man. And then just seeing Shant and our kids grown up next to us was weird, to go from yawning in an ultrasound or, you know, in utero to human beings talking there. It was weird. It was really, really weird. Oh yeah, Fort Independence. Never shared my discovery. Not that I assume anyone cares, but y'all finna be educated anyway. You can see his heartbeat in utero. Amazing. Yes. We love night streams, Comrade Sammy says. All right. I can oblige. We did. Thank you, Cranberry Landers. It was fun. It was a good, jam-packed, full trip. I was on the phone with my parents this morning, just kind of giving them a recap of everything I just told you guys. And they were like, wow, you did a lot. And I was like, we did do a lot. You can do it. Fort Independence was built before the Revolution, so it used to be called Castle William after one of the British kings before the war. Interesting. It was renamed to Fort Independence by John Adams. John Adams, always, his name appeared a lot in all the Boston stuff we were reading. John Adams. Emo, you should be a tour guide. You should. There we go. Career path. 40 to go. Let's do it. Good to see you too. Cranberry Landers, great to chat with you. That's right. Thanks, Rocky. Fun stream. Thanks, Mark. Hope you're well. We'll be talking with you soon. We'll see you soon. Clear, you should have just asked me what to do. I should have, Emo Trash. I won't forget next time. Not late night. Mark's music was not too late. I'll try not to be too late, Mark's music session. Don't worry. It won't be a midnight-ish stream. It'll be... And I'm on East Coast time now. So that's messing with me. So I can't go super late because I'm going to fall asleep. Like right now it feels like it's 9 o'clock, but it's not. It's actually 5 here and it's 8:30 in the East Coast. So yeah, I'm messed up right now, but okay. I would too if I didn't have a job at the time working early. How's the new car, Cranberry? Hope the new car is well. All right, everybody. It was great catching up with you all. Thank you so much for showing up. Hit that like, smash the like. I know you guys are all subscribed, but people who are watching that love Boston, just subscribe anyway. Maybe you found this because you were looking about what to do to Boston, but I don't know. Whatever. I should rename this to like my Boston trip. Maybe I'll get more subscribers that way. All right, guys, thank you so much. I will see you soon. Like I said, I'll probably be streaming again tomorrow. So keep an eye out, keep your eyes peeled for that notification, and I'll catch you then. Have a good evening. I will see you later. Take care.